A sleepless princess, a single pea, and a mountain of mattresses. It sounds harmless, almost ridiculous, a story told to children before bed. But that simplicity hides something far older and far less gentle. At its core, this tale is not about comfort, romance, or even marriage. It is about judgment. From the very beginning, The Princess and the Pea presents a quiet trial, one that does not rely on strength, cleverness, or honesty, but on the body itself. The test is invisible, the subject is unaware, and the result, once revealed, is absolute. This is not a fairy tale meant to soothe. It is a story designed to expose what cannot be faked. The prince is not searching for love. He is searching for certainty. He travels from court to court, meeting princesses of every kind. They wear the right dresses, speak the right words, and carry the right titles. By all visible measures, they should be enough. Yet each meeting leaves him unsatisfied. Something is missing, though he cannot explain what it is. In this world, a claim means nothing without proof. Bloodlines matter, lineage matters. A crown alone does not guarantee authenticity. Anyone can learn manners. Anyone can imitate refinement. The fear that follows the prince is not deception by others, but doubt in his own judgment. A single mistake would echo through generations. Choosing the wrong bride would mean corrupting the bloodline itself. So the search continues, not driven by romance, but by anxiety. What the prince does not realize is that the answer will not come through travel or conversation. It will arrive quietly, without warning, in the form of a test he never asked for, but desperately needs. The turning point comes without ceremony. On a night when rain batters the castle walls and thunder fractures the sky, a lone figure appears at the gate. She is not announced. She is not expected. She is soaked through, exhausted, stripped of every visible sign of status. Her clothes cling to her. Her shoes spill water with every step. She claims only one thing. She is a princess. The king listens. The prince hesitates. But it is the queen who understands the moment. She does not argue. She does not challenge the claim. Instead, she says nothing at all. In older stories, silence often signals intention. Words invite performance. Observation reveals truth. The girl is welcomed inside, warmed, fed, and offered shelter for the night. She believes she has found safety. What she does not know is that she has already entered a trial, one that will unfold while she sleeps. The queen prepares the chamber quietly, without witnesses or explanation. She strips the bed to its frame and places a single pea at the bottom. Then come the mattresses, stacked one upon another. More layers follow, feather beds on top of mattresses, softness rising higher and higher until the bed no longer looks practical, but ceremonial. Nothing about the arrangement suggests danger. To any ordinary body, the night ahead would promise deep, effortless sleep. That is precisely why the test works. The pea is chosen because it should not matter. It is small, hard, easy to overlook. If the girl sleeps well, the night passes without consequence. If she does not, the answer will come without rehearsal or deception. No one tells her what has been hidden beneath the linens. Morning brings no spectacle, no witnesses, only a simple question. How did you sleep? The answer comes without hesitation. Poorly. Painfully. The girl speaks of restlessness, of something hard beneath her body, of bruises she cannot explain. She does not know what caused it. She only knows that her body refused to rest. This is the moment the queen was waiting for. Not because the girl suffered, but because of how she suffered. In this world, sensitivity is not weakness. It is evidence. A true princess is believed to carry refinement in her very flesh. Her body has never adapted to hardship. It has not been trained to ignore discomfort. What others would sleep through without noticing becomes unbearable to her. The test works because it cannot be performed. the girl could not have known what to claim. She could not have prepared the right answer. Her body responded before her mind had a chance to interfere. There is no debate, no second trial. Sensitivity has revealed what titles and appearances never could. The judgment is complete. The tale may be famous, but it was never meant to be new. Hans Christian Andersen did not present The Princess and the Pea as his own invention. He insisted it came from an older source, a story passed down orally long before it was written, something remembered rather than created. When scholars searched for earlier versions, they found something unsettling. There were no clear written ancestors, no manuscript to trace. The story seemed to exist without a beginning, as if it had always been there. What does appear are familiar patterns scattered across northern Europe, variations of the same strange test, a hidden object, a body reacting where it should not. A truth revealed through discomfort rather than confession. This suggests the story was never about a single princess or a single kingdom. It belonged to a much older tradition, one where identity was not declared but exposed, where worth was proven quietly, through endurance and reaction, not through words. Andersen did not invent the trial, he preserved it. In earlier versions of the tale, the trial was not always absolute. Some stories allowed the girl to learn what awaited her. A servant overhears the queen's plan. An animal listens from the shadows and gives warning. Foreknowledge turns ordeal into performance. The girl complains of discomfort because she knows she must, not because her body demands it. In other variations, the test changes form. Peas are scattered across palace floors. Those who walk lightly reveal themselves. Those who step heavily pass unnoticed. Once again, the trial relies on behavior rather than instinct. And once again, it fails. Warned in advance, the subjects adapt. They stomp instead of glide. They imitate what the test expects to see. The ritual collapses the moment it becomes predictable. These versions expose a crucial truth. Any test that can be understood can be manipulated. Any trial that depends on conscious action invites deception. That is why the later version becomes so unforgiving. No explanation, no warning, no chance to perform. Only a silent setup and an unknowing body. When the mind is removed from the process, the test becomes final. At this point, I'm curious what you think. Do you believe a test like this could ever truly reveal who someone is? Or does it only show what the test expects to find? Let me know in the comments. Over time, the pea stops being a detail and becomes a symbol. It is chosen not because it causes pain, but because it should not. Small, ordinary, easy to ignore, the pea represents something meant to pass unnoticed. If the body reacts to it, the reaction cannot be rehearsed. It comes instinctively, without intention. That is why similar objects appear again and again in folklore. Peas, beans, seeds, bits of straw. Things so common they invite no suspicion, yet firm enough to disrupt comfort when placed carefully. They do not punish, they expose. Across older traditions, such objects were believed to reveal hidden truths. In parts of Europe, peas were scattered to identify beings thought not fully human, creatures compelled to stop and count each seed. The test was subtle but unavoidable. Even historically, peas were not the soft vegetables we imagine today. Before modern cultivation, they were hard, dry pellets, stored through winters and eaten for survival. They were ancient, durable, and familiar to every household. This familiarity made them powerful. A pea could slip unnoticed into any story, any bed, any ritual. And once there, it could separate one body from another. By now, the logic is clear. The pea matters because it should not. Only those who feel what others ignore will be revealed. The power of the pea does not come from clever storytelling. It comes from age. Long before it appeared beneath a mattress, the pea was one of humanity's earliest cultivated crops. It fed early settlements, survived long winters, and became a symbol of continuity and survival. Small, unremarkable, and everywhere it belonged to daily life in a way few objects did. In ancient cultures, objects that were old and ordinary often carried the greatest symbolic weight. Seeds, grains, and stones marked the rhythm of life itself. They represented birth, endurance, and the quiet forces that sustained civilization. To disturb them was to disturb something fundamental. That is why such objects appear so often in trials and rituals. They stood at the boundary between the human and the sacred, familiar enough to be trusted, ancient enough to be feared. Across myths, the pattern repeats. Simple objects are used to reveal complex truths, not through force but through recognition. The body responds because generations before it were trained to respond. When the queen places the pea beneath the bed, she is not inventing a test. She is drawing on a logic older than the kingdom, older than the story itself. An ancient belief that the smallest things placed correctly can expose what no question ever could. The test beneath the bed is not unique. It belongs to a much older pattern. Across myths and legends, truth is often revealed through trials that appear absurd on the surface, but are absolute in outcome. A task is set that no ordinary person should be able to pass. There is no room for effort or strategy. The trial does not reward trying harder. It simply reveals what already is. A sword embedded in stone recognizes its rightful bearer. A glass slipper accepts only 1 foot. A secret known only to a true spouse exposes an imposter. In each case, the test is precise, hidden, and final. The subject does not conquer the challenge. The challenge identifies the subject. The P-test follows the same logic. The girl is not asked to prove herself. She is placed into conditions that will speak for her. Her reaction is not heroic. It is involuntary. These trials are not designed to be fair. They are designed to be definitive. They separate the chosen from the ordinary without explanation or appeal. By placing the princess within this tradition, the story quietly elevates her role. She is not simply selected for marriage. She is recognized by a system older than law, older than custom, one that claims to distinguish what is merely human from what is something else entirely. What the test ultimately measures is not strength, but fragility. In many ancient traditions, extreme sensitivity was not considered a flaw. It was a sign of separation. Gods, spirits, and sacred figures were often described as unable to endure the roughness of ordinary life. Their bodies were too refined, too finely tuned to tolerate what humans accepted without thought. Myth after myth repeats this image. Lunar goddesses are portrayed as luminous and delicate, their beauty easily damaged by mortal touch. Fairy beings in Celtic lore are wounded by coarse fabric or loud sounds. Saints and holy virgins in medieval texts faint at the smallest disturbance, sleep poorly on rough beds, and withdraw from physical strain. Their fragility is not weakness. It is proof of otherness. Over time, this idea shifts. What once marked divinity becomes a sign of social elevation. Sensitivity moves from gods to nobility, then into ideals of refinement itself. The body that bruises easily, that reacts intensely, that cannot endure discomfort, is praised as superior rather than impractical. Seen through this lens, the princess's suffering takes on a different meaning. She is not failing a test of endurance. She is passing a test of separation. Her body responds because it has never been hardened by necessity. The pea does not expose her weakness. It confirms her distance from the ordinary human condition. The final clue lies not in the pea, but in the night itself. In ancient thought, sleep was never neutral. It was vulnerability. To sleep was to admit limitation. Across early mythologies, the ability to remain awake marked the boundary between what was merely human and what belonged to something higher. Gods did not sleep. Or if they did, it was briefly, deliberately, without weakness. Mortals, by contrast, were defined by exhaustion. In Greek belief, sleep and death were brothers. To close one's eyes was to brush against mortality itself. This idea shaped rituals across cultures. Initiates kept night-long vigils before entering sacred mysteries. Sages endured sleepless meditation to rise above bodily limits. Heroes were tested not by actions, but by whether they could remain wakeful when others failed. The princess's ordeal fits perfectly into this ancient logic. She does not sleep. The pea does not simply cause discomfort, it denies her rest. And in doing so, it places her on the far side of an old, dividing line. Her sleeplessness is not a weakness, it is proof. In the oldest reading of the story, the test beneath the bed is not about marriage, manners, or refinement. It is about classification, about whether a body belongs fully to the human world or whether it carries the mark of something older, higher, and fundamentally separate. The pea reveals what words never could. If this story changed the way you see the princess and the pea, take a moment to like the video and subscribe for more hidden meanings beneath familiar tales. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, not just about this story, but about other fairy tales you've come to see differently over time. Did this one make you uncomfortable, curious, or confirm something you'd always felt but never questioned?